AI-generated music is coming into the world faster than you realize. And the only question for us music creators is it totally going to replace me? What legal challenges does AI present to us that we need to be aware of so that we're protecting ourselves and our rights? And is it possible to coexist with this technology to potentially thrive and make new sources of income with it? That's what we're going to get into in this video. Welcome to Sync My Music. My name is Jesse. I'm glad that you found my channel and found this video. I want to walk you through how I see AI completely disrupting the music industry and also the TV film sync licensing business. That's the little segment that I've been personally involved with for the last 14 years. This is a massively disruptive technology that we cannot ignore, and it's the only thing that I can essentially put my mind on these days because it's developing and rapidly growing so fast. Now, I'm not an AI expert, I'm not a software engineer, I'm not an IT specialist, so I'm not going to use technical jargon to explain all the issues in this video. I'm going to explain it in a way that even hopefully a fifth grader can understand it, so I hope you'll forgive me for that. Now, it's very important that you stay tuned to the very end of this video because there I will reveal a massive new potential opportunity that we as music creators can take advantage of to not only make new income with our music, but potentially thrive and make ungodly amounts of money in the AI space. So let's start in the art world, where visual artists and the AI companies are having a legal battle right now to figure out how we're going to march forward with this technology. And even if you're not a visual artist, please pay attention to this part of the video because this is actually what's going to inform us music creators how we can prepare and get ready for what's coming our way very soon. By now, you've probably heard of some of these AI models like DALL-E and Midjourney, and there's many others. And what they do is they essentially allow people like you and I, who might have not a lot of artistic ability, to go to their platforms, type in a couple of pieces of text, and it'll spit out to us an amazing original new piece of art. It's exciting, it's mind-blowing, it's breathtaking, and it's also causing a lot of legal issues with visual artists. Now, it's very important that we understand how these AI generated models created their database to be able to put out all this amazing original AI created artwork. Well, what they did is essentially scour the internet and looked at over 5 billion images, both pictures and visual art. And instead of taking those images and downloading them and storing them on some hard drive, which would just be a massive project and also a very clear copyright infringement case, instead of doing that, these models essentially just studied how those images were created in terms of there's always a relationship and a pattern that pixels create with particular objects. So for example, one of these AI models could essentially look at 1 million images of dogs. And instead of having to download 100 images of dogs, all it had to do was basically start to study the pixel relationships within all of those images and then start to understand what is the sort of algorithm for creating a dog and the various versions of dogs and the different breeds and colors and fur types, all that kind of stuff, okay? So these AI models do not have a large library of just JPEG images that it's pulling from. Instead, what it has is a large library of algorithms of basically pixel patterns that can essentially draw up from and create new creative images based on what you input into the text field. Now, many visual artists are claiming that this is clear copyright infringement. First of all, they feel they were not notified of this project. They were not opted into this. And they feel that the AI generated artwork is essentially derivative. So it's basically taking their original work and slightly altering it, but not enough to create a brand new image. And also, they are saying that this new AI generated artwork is certainly undervaluing and undermining their value in the marketplace. So according to visual artists, this is not fair use. This is clear copyright infringement. Now, on the other hand, AI companies, of course, are claiming that it is fair use because the images these AI models are creating are transformative. So they're essentially so different from the original creations that they learned from that they are not undermining the value of the original artist or their work. So there are many lawsuits that are going through the courts now, and it remains to be seen how this is all going to play out. My non-legal take on all of this is that it does feel like these AI models took copyright related data from these visual artists, even if they didn't take the actual digital photo or the JPEG itself. It also kind of feels like these AI models made every visual artist a silent partner in their endeavor to create this amazing AI model, but they didn't bother to notify any of them, and they certainly aren't cutting them in on any of the profits. Because think about it, how valuable is a text-to-image model if it doesn't have any data being fed into it? And that data came from every visual artist and photographer on Earth. Now, is that argument strong enough for a court to determine that yes, these AI companies owe visual artists a lot of their revenue, and or is there going to be a court order that an AI company has to essentially delete its entire database and start fresh with an opt-in model? That remains to be seen. So that's what's happening in the visual arts world. How is that going to affect us as music creators? Right now, all of the AI generated music that's available to us, at least the publicly available ones, are not that impressive. If you've heard some of that AI music already, you probably aren't very impressed by it, and you might feel that it's not really going to be a threat to you or I anytime soon. Now, that might be the case for how things are right now in the middle of 2023. But as I've been doing a deep dive into this world, I've been hearing that there are new models being developed that are soon to be deployed publicly that are magnitudes more impressive than what you're hearing right now. But of course, I will keep my finger on the pulse of all of those developments as they come online, and I will share all of them with you here on this channel. Many different technologies are being used in these AI music generated models. One thing is called Refusion, which basically creates some kind of an audio spectrogram that can recreate music in some way. There's also mixing and matching and altering loops and other technical approaches I don't fully understand yet, so I'll make more videos on those very soon. But here's the most important point of this video. In the music world, we have 2 copyrights that we get to play with, whereas visual artists really just have 1. For every piece of music, we actually get 2 distinct copyrights. One is for the sound recording, sometimes abbreviated SR, and that covers basically the physical or digital actual recording. So think of a WAV file or an MP3. Then the other side is the PA copyright, which stands for Performing Arts. This is actually referring to the conceptual ideas that make up a song. So think of chord progression, melodies, and lyrics. One way to understand this is to think of a human body. The sound recording would be the physical body itself, so the thing that you can actually touch and see in the real world. The PA copyright or Performing Arts copyright would refer to the soul, if you will, or the personality of that body. So you can't touch it necessarily, it's more conceptual, but it definitely informs how that body performs and operates. So unfortunately for visual artists, they don't have that secondary PA copyright that would have protected them from a situation like this, right? Because when the AI models went around to those 5 billion images, they didn't take the physical image themselves, right? In our world, it would have been the sound recording. They didn't take that actual image and store it. What they did is they went in and sucked out essentially the soul of that art and found out exactly what is the personality of those pixels and the relationship of those pixels that eventually created that art. And as far as my non-legal understanding of the arts world, there is no copyright that protects them. That's what's going to be playing out in all of these court cases coming up soon. Now, here's the great promising news for us as music creators. We do have that second copyright. So these AI generated companies and models that are coming online, if they want to try to do the same thing and just go online to any publicly available piece of music and try to only take the soul or the personality or the PA side of it, that's a clear violation of copyright. Now, I do feel for these visual artists that are having to have this legal battle at the foreground of this technology emerging. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, it was us, the music creators, through file sharing networks and Napster, that had to deal with this stuff first. And many other industries had time to adapt because they didn't have to fight this immediately. Fortunately for us music creators, we got a little bit of time right now to learn how to adapt, how to understand this landscape, and also, more importantly, how to thrive and make new sources of income in this new industry. That's what I want to get into right now. One of the main reasons why a lot of the AI generated music so far isn't that good is because it hasn't really been fed high quality music. Many of these AI generated models are only using copyright free music and public domain tracks. Now, I'm not saying that that's all garbage music. There are some amazing gems to be found in both of those areas. But I think we all understand that the really good stuff, the really top tier music, usually is going to be behind a copyright paywall. if you will. So with these AI models, their output is only as good as the input that they can feed it. So here's where I see a potential huge opportunity coming up online for music creators. In the very near future, I feel that there is going to be an opportunity for us to potentially sell and or license our music to these AI generated music companies, and not only have new sources of income, but potentially have better control and better transparency over how our music is going to be used by them. So the first scenario that I can see obviously playing out is many of these AI generated music companies may want to directly purchase music from you and I, but they might want to have 100% transfer of ownership to them so that they can then output that content to all of their clients without any legal worries. Probably not the first choice for many of us, but hey, getting paid to make music is always the dream, so let's not just poo-poo that. Now, the second scenario that I'm actually way more excited about is the potential to license our music to AI music generated companies. So instead of just licensing our music to TV shows, movies, and commercials like we've been doing up until now, we're going to have a potentially new client on our hands, and this is going to be those AI companies. And imagine that they could pay you an upfront fee to exclusively license either a portion of your catalog or maybe all of your catalog, and then you can see transparently how much of your music was actually used in their algorithm by their users. So let's say your hip hop tracks were used by 3% of the user base in a month. So therefore, you would be entitled to 3% of the revenue share with that particular AI generated content. So another way to think about this is that those of us that have some musical ability, some musical talents, we might be licensing our music to people that don't have a lot of musical talent. So imagine that mom or pop or that kid who doesn't feel like they have a lot of musical talent and they want to start using a lot of these AI models to create music for themselves. Well, they might need people like us to feed that algorithm so that they can go to the website, type in, I want a hip hop track that sounds modern and dynamic, and boom, they get a new track. The AI company makes revenue because of course it was their algorithm that they created. And then we, the content creators, the actual music creators, earn a share from that business transaction. To me, that feels like a win-win-win. How likely is this going to actually be, and how soon in the future will anything like this really show up? Honestly, I don't know. Nobody really knows, but I am definitely keeping my finger on the pulse of this topic, and I am starting to reach out to many experts in the AI music space, and I will do as best I can to bring them here onto this channel. So make sure you do subscribe if you haven't already so that you can stay up to date with the latest developments in this space. But I'll end this video with a very, very important question that we should be asking ourselves. What can I do right now with all of this development, all this new stuff happening? What can I do to put myself in the best possible position to take advantage of this when it starts to show up in my lap? For me, the answer is obvious. It's curiosity and openness. If you have your eyes open to what's going on in front of us, if you remain curious about these new technologies, these new companies, this new way of creating music, you will have your eyes wide open to notice the new opportunities when they present themselves. If you remain fearful or even worse, dismissive of the power of AI and how quickly it can evolve, I guarantee you will miss out on what's coming. And let's just be honest, AI is going to disrupt and probably completely replace all of the current business models that we music creators use to generate income from our music. That is certainly going to happen, but, big but, that's all short-term pain. Just like with every technological revolution that humanity has gone through, there's always a period where human beings panic and scramble and freak out because we don't know if we're gonna be okay. Is everybody gonna be okay? Are we gonna have a purpose and a point to our lives after we completely reinvent ourselves and reinvent our economy? You can look back through history and realize that, yeah, every single time it created the short-term pain, and then what happened after all the disruption was new emerging industries, new careers that we couldn't even fathom or have the words to describe. I don't believe that this time will be any different. In fact, I think we'll actually see the biggest transformation of opportunity that we've ever seen in humanity's history. You're gonna see new forms of media, entertainment, virtual reality experiences, and other new types of technology and things that I just don't even have the words to describe. And all of that is going to need music. So as we're all in this together and we're all about to go through one of humanity's biggest technological revolutions ever, we really just have two choices. This is a huge wave and it's coming at us. You can either ride the wave, which is where the curiosity and openness will take you so you can actually flow with it, or if you keep your head down and you get fearful and dismissive, it can just drown you. It can essentially just overpower you, and you can feel a sense of dread and futility that there's really no purpose for you. This is really our struggle right now, humanity's struggle to find our meaning and find our relevancy. I will surf this wave. I will go with this flow. I will try to be open to where this new world is going to take us. And I really hope that you also decide to join me for this incredible adventure. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you had a further question, comment, concern, anything, maybe I got something wrong, leave it below as a comment on this video. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to be corrected because I'm basically a huge student in this industry right now. I am learning so much about AI, and I know many of you guys watching this might be a little bit more informed about what's happening in this space. So don't be shy. Leave a comment below, or even better, reach out to me directly, Jesse@syncmymusic.com. I'd love to hear from you.